So thanks everybody for coming today. This is our first episode of our talk series from Idea to Impact with AI here with Hubbard. So today we have Chong Shen Ng and we have Stergios Bititsios going to be moderating our talk. And so Stergios, just give a quick bit about Stergios, specializes in research and innovation. Human-centered research specifically that inspires bold ideas. He's worked with the Coca-Cola Company, Unilever, Nestle, PepsiCo, to name a few. But I will go ahead and give the floor over to Stergios to introduce the talk and Chong Shen, and then we'll get going.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Welcome to today's webinar with the title AI for People on the Planet, Building Ethical Systems Together. My name is Stergios, as Kevin said. I'm hosting today's session on behalf of Hubbers. Hubbers is a global innovation platform where people co-create, collaborate, and build better solutions for the future and for the world. I am super thrilled to introduce today's guest, Dr. Chong Shen Ng, one of the research engineers and core developer at Flower Labs. His work explores how artificial intelligence can be designed and deployed in ways that serve both people and the planet, balancing innovation with responsibility as much as possible. So Chong Shen, welcome, and thank you for being here today with us. Thank you for making the time to talk to us. Could you perhaps start by telling us a little bit about yourself, about Flower Labs and your current work there, and how it connects to the bigger picture of AI for social good and sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks just for the invite. Firstly, also shout out to Benjamin and Kevin for putting this all together. Very excited to be here to share with you my work and also what we do here in Flower Labs. So just to let's talk quickly about myself. So my name is Chong Shen. I'm one of the, as you said, the research engineers and core contributors to the Flower Framework, Flower Labs team itself. My background comes very much from the distributed computing space. I spent many years working on research to solve physics problems on large-scale supercomputing clusters. Then I moved into the world of deep learning and machine learning as well. The intersection of these two worlds of distributed computing as well as deep learning and AI sort of opened this world into what we'll shortly talk about later as well, which is federated learning. So I'm very much passionate about helping people work on distributed systems to make full use of AI for their lives. So moving on to the work in Flower Labs and what we do. How I like to think about it is that we want to enable everyone to responsibly adopt and contribute to AI anywhere. So one of the core things that is synonymous with Flower Labs is a software stack, which is called Flower. This is freely available to anyone to use, and you're able to adopt and really contribute to building AI for your use cases anywhere in the world. So yeah, let's see what's in store for today, Stergios.
So Shen, I'm curious, what inspired you personally to take this direction with AI?
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of two core reasons. Firstly, of course, is my interest in distributed computing in general. There's a very nice world there of like optimization and making things work on large scales. At the same time, I'm very much aware of the fact that in the whole world, a lot of data is stored in silos, right? There are a lot of areas or industries in the world that you just absolutely cannot access these data sets, even on your local machines when you have all this data. But you still want to make use of this. So the work that we do here in Flower Labs, I think there is a very nice fit and something that we can contribute to help unlock and make use of this data in a very sustainable way.
Amazing. Okay. Okay. I'm curious, and perhaps this is a little bit of a maybe generic or tough question to answer, but you know, of all the people, I guess, in this call, you would probably have a better answer, please. So when we talk about AI for people and the planet, so like two separate elements, but they're interconnected.
Yeah.
What does that mean in practical terms?
Yeah. Absolutely. I see three things actually. The AI for the people. Firstly, well, I can say like four things. So there are two for the people and then two for the planet, right? So the AI for the people, firstly, you should be able to use AI responsibly, right? That means the AI tools that you use in the day-to-day life, on your phones, on your laptops and whatnot, it should be able to use and contribute to your work ethically and responsibly. That means accessing your data in an ethical way, also help you achieve what you need to do in the most efficient way, right? Not burning a lot of GPUs or electricity just to give you something very nice. And then at the same time, once you're able to use this AI, you also want to be able to contribute. So in the grand scheme of things, you have some day-to-day, some information about the way you perceive things and the way you know things, right? Based on your knowledge, you can also contribute to the wider community. So this is you as people to contribute back to everyone in the world. How can you add to this knowledge lift in the entire world? This is the aspect of AI. Now, from the planet side of things, this is also very interesting. One is, of course, the concept of large-scale AI trainings and whatnot. All of this is heavy environmental impact, and it is something we're super aware of. And what's the most optimum way to try and achieve this is to try and make everything more efficient, right? Try and balance it off. And then secondly, there's a lot that can be gained from this AI for the planet as well. So large-scale AI calculations, to solve these complex problems, you just can't contain it within one large cluster in one domain. You see these stories of these large companies. They say, "Oh, I'm going to build this supercomputing cluster the size of Manhattan, for example," and then do this large-scale world simulations to solve all physical problems. I believe there is a path forward where all of this type of data that's generated can be generated from multiple locations. Then, with that kind of distributed knowledge systems, you can train AI in a distributed way across these large data centers as well. So there's a lot of collaborative learning that can be done as well, and then can contribute into more scientific advancements for the planet.
Amazing. That kind of touches a little bit on community as well, because one of my questions would be, with the advent of social media in the last few years, and and the world becoming like one place, it's easier to travel, it's easier to communicate. We talk a lot about communities lately, and obviously Hubbers is a community-led innovation platform, so it's all about the community and obviously about sustainability on the planet, but it's really the heart of it, the core of it is the community. And so I was wondering, how do you see the role of community-led innovation in shaping responsible AI? So you kind of touched on that already. We can elaborate about yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is when we first started talking, right? A couple of weeks back. I think this is one of the things that resonated quite strongly as well. And I felt that this is a nice conversation that both of us could have. Yeah, we strongly believe that community is at the forefront of driving AI innovation. So the two things, right? Firstly, you are able to build transparently, right? So when you build with the community in an open way, right, you are accountable for the community. Everyone is accountable for each other. There is this your work is basically evaluated, right? And you know that you want to push the boundaries for the benefit of everyone. That's the first thing. And second thing as well is about accessibility. Once you build openly, like in this way, and you make it accessible to everyone, then really there is zero barrier for people to contribute and adopt AI.
Amazing. Yeah. Right. So then that creates or generates another question, and maybe creates an issue there, which is privacy. And I know that there's a number of key themes that we have explored previously in our previous conversations, and so
Yes.
privacy is one of them. And I think you're very particular about that. You have particular views about privacy, and especially when we talk about community-led platforms, and there's like a lot of people involved and a lot of people sharing ideas and innovation directions, prototypes. There's a lot of people involved in the community, and I guess at some point privacy plays a role. Some people are more sensitive to that, others are not so sensitive to that. Organizations are definitely sensitive to privacy. How do we reconcile the need for data to build AI with the need to protect individual privacy or even organizational privacy?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's led a lot by on two levels. One is in certain industries, privacy is incredibly important. Healthcare, without a doubt. All these personal health identifiers, and also in finance as well. Those are all privacy matters that are heavily regulated within these industries. At the same time, there's also awareness about your own personal data. Only the more recent years, when all these large language models start to be adopted more and more, and then you realize that a lot, whatever you type and try to ask something simple, it could also be used to train. So I don't think it's a solved problem. I think it's a lot about awareness of the community and to be able to educate those who collaborate that there are privacy aspects relevant to industries, and also privacy aspects that are unique to a person or an organization. And these are I think the whole big topic in itself. So it's you just have to be aware about it. I think that's the most important point.
Yeah. And it's a very complex topic. I don't think we have enough time today to solve this problem, but it's good to raise awareness, I suppose, and hear. And it's great to hear your views because you're so close to this subject matter. And we spoke about transparency as well. So we spoke about privacy so far. You spoke about transparency and how important that is. And this is the core element of a community-led approach. And that's one of the benefits, I suppose, for a community-led approach, that there is transparency. Everybody can see what the other person is doing and how they exchange information, how they exchange data. Things can be evaluated in real life, real time, and there's nowhere to hide, I suppose, to a certain degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you write code, right? If you write the code and then you have it public, people look at it as okay.
Yeah. Is decentralization a notion that we should talk about here today? Is this something important? It came up as something that could be interesting. So, like decentralized models. Could those be part of the solution to making AI more ethical, more inclusive? Is that a theme?
Yeah, absolutely. For one thing, decentralization isn't a new topic, right? It's been around for many years. I think the fact that we have so much more powerful compute in our hands right now, right, on your phones, on your laptops, and the fact that you're also aware is the advancements in technology to compress these AI models is already there. You want to have a degree of personalized usage of AI. So having these AI models deployed closer to where your data is, is one of the many ways you could help with that. Running local models on your phone to help, that's the whole big thing right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess all of us have ChatGPT. I guess at a basic level, ChatGPT installed in our phones or Perplexity. I mean, I use it all the time anyway. I mean, it's, in a way, I've stopped using Google actually. Personally, so all my research and all my inquiries now go through Perplexity or ChatGPT. So I guess you I guess at the personal level, as we discussed, privacy, transparency, decentralization, all those themes play a role because you share a lot of information with those systems. A lot of that is personal as well. It's not just generic queries, but there's some like personal questions, and you want all this to stay within a safe environment. You don't want it to travel everywhere and be seen by others. And and I guess at an individual level, there's that element of feeling a little bit insecure about, where is this or this content that gets produced? Where does it go? How am I safe? And I guess when you extrapolate that to an organizational level, that becomes even more important, I suppose.
100%.
That's more of a difficult job to do. Yeah,
that's right.
So you spoke a little bit about sustainability as well earlier, and so I think the environmental footprint of AI is something that is currently overlooked a little bit, particularly by individual users. I don't think many of us understand the implications and the footprint of AI. So what can we say about that? How can we elaborate on that? How can we design for resource efficiency? Is there anything?
Yes.
Yeah, like anything else that you would like to add to that to illuminate us and just help us understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
The connection between AI and sustainability.
Yeah. Let's use a concrete example. It might be an over-exaggeration, but it's a nice story. I read somewhere a couple of months ago that I think it was Sam Altman. He tweeted, or was on an interview that, he tweeted on X. Every time someone says just thank you to ChatGPT, it just burns some I think you kill a tree or something like that, something to that effect. So the fact that you are responding or using ChatGPT in a very trivial way also matters. And if you scale it to the millions of users that ChatGPT has, there's a huge environmental impact there. That goes down. Well, it highlights two things, right? Firstly, is the user experience of ChatGPT is so seamless that people don't really think much about it. But there is such a there's something burning in the background that is giving you the answers that hopefully that you want, right? So this leads to the earlier question. The second point I was mentioning about is the the distributed AI, right? For some use cases, you may not really need ChatGPT to help you out, right? You don't need this large compute. You probably only want them because they have some really good models that can give you the answers. But maybe 80% of the use cases that you want can really be run locally on your machine if you have something powerful enough. So yeah, there is a world I see that you can offload some of the AI usage to somewhere closer to home, rather than relying on these very large scale systems to give to provide this interaction that you need.
Sure. Now, what you said in the beginning of your answer to this question scares me a lot, because I must have burned entire forests now, not just one tree, but I have, like, on from a personal perspective, I didn't know this. I didn't know this, and whether it's true or not, I guess it is true to a certain degree. But you said, you get a simple thank you can equals burning down of a tree, and like the amount of times I said thank you and please, and
it might be over exaggeration, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there a good example that you have in mind that you can share of a project or a business or a company that's doing that really well, that is quite sustainable in the way that they use AI systems? Is there anything at the moment that could be used as a good example?
Yeah, there's one very nice example in the UK. It was a pilot project that was successful. Actually, they managed to deploy it. So this is a project out of Oxford Uni. It's done by I think he's a consultant right now. So the idea is that he wanted to deploy this distributed AI to train on medical images across several hospitals, Oxford being one of them. So what he did, you don't need some very expensive compute, no cloud computing needed, no GPUs needed. All he needed was a couple of Raspberry Pis, the small compute units on a box. So what he did was just preload all the code that he needs for each of these hospitals, and then he just sent it out to them. And what the hospitals needed to do, just hook them up, point them to the necessary images that the AI needs to learn from, and then off they go. So this ran actually very successfully. Firstly, the compute was very cheap, just running on Raspberry Pis, just a couple of watts of usage. And then secondly, they were able to produce pretty good trained models, which are also they still respect the privacy of the hospitals, because that's distributed. So that was wrapped up 2 years ago, and he gave a very nice talk. He even wrote a Nature Communications paper from that as well. So that was an example of using edge devices to do some very meaningful collaborative AI in the healthcare field.
Amazing. Could you repeat the name? So it's Oxford University for my benefit of the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So this collaborator, his name is Andrew Salton, okay, from Oxford.
Yeah, just in case anyone would like to just dig a little bit deeper into the work that Andrew is doing. So okay, great. Absolutely. Now I wonder what would, because going back to the ethical side of things, or the ethics side of things, do we have any ideas in terms of how could governments, businesses, and communities, so we have 3 entities here now, how can each play a role in setting ethical baselines, and should they work separately in terms of setting ethical baselines? Should they work together, like governments, businesses, communities? What's your point of view about that? What is the role of those entities, and should they work separately? Should they work together? How can they achieve a good result in terms of setting ethical baselines?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't think there is any clear answer for this. My opinion is going to be a joint effort, but it's going to be highly complex.
Yeah.
So if there are communities out there who are very driven and want to achieve something urgently, I want to say, like the one example I can say was like the robotics community, who work a lot with open source robotics. They are trying to drive things fast in a very collaborative way. You can gain a lot of traction from that aspect. and then the sort of the government side of things and the company side of things, they may lag slightly behind. But once they see this community effort improve, they might catch on. So in an ideal world, of course, everything is, we want all three to sort of collaborate. But I feel that depending on the use case, it really...
Who of the three do you think should instigate this? Right? So who should be the leader of trying to like set ethical baseline? Should it be government? Should it be businesses? The businesses who produce and make and create AI solutions? Should it be also the businesses who adopt AI solutions? Should it be the community? Who should instigate that? Who should take the lead? And again, that's like, there's no right or wrong answer here.
For sure,
Your point of view, your personal point of view, as someone
absolutely
really close to the subject matter.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I think, it will be community for sure. This is my opinion. If the if the community has a very clear vision of what needs to be achieved and what needs to be solved, that would be the main driving force. It's also a reflection of how, when we build open tools for users to use as well. So this is what we very much believe in.
And then create pressure upwards, I guess. So if the community gets aligned, and then they can have a stronger voice, and I guess put the pressure to the top of the pyramid, with the government and the Okay, that's an interesting approach. I can see that. So I think trade-offs is an interesting topic here as well, and we spoke about obviously sustainability and eco-friendliness, and my understanding is that with AI, what the main benefit is speed and efficiency. We can do things quickly, we can do things efficiently, we can have answers to problems within seconds. But then the trade-off here is that we're burning trees down. If I want to use this analogy, and it's probably it has an element of truth and gravitas. In other words, we're adding we're adding to the planet, to planet pressures. The more we use those tools, the faster we want them to be, the more efficient we want them to be. We fix one thing, we kind of damage the other, so it's not good for sustainability. Are there any, what other trade-offs do you think we're overlooking here? So one is speed, efficiency versus sustainability. So we're fast, but we're not very eco-friendly. Are there any other hidden trade-offs there that we should be aware of as users of AI systems?
Yeah. I think there are two things there. So, of course, you say there's, I think we all agree there's no such thing as a free lunch. The two things is about hallucinations, factual accuracies. You rely on this quite a lot, especially for natural language, and it seems so believable. You read more recently about people trusting these AI systems more and more. And there are these things, it's just real. It's like AI psychosis. You are led down the path of believing the tool so much that you don't have proper guardrails for it. So that can affect people. That's a serious thing. It's hallucinations. Second one is about AI fatigue. Right? The trade-off is like we use AI so much that we start to communicate through AI content. So a lot of the things that you see on your social media, probably easily half of them are like AI generated to some extent. And then when you want to reply to it, it's also sort of like AI generated. So you adopting AI is great, but it comes at a cost of forgetting the voice of humanity. You know, like
at the cost maybe of personal values, of personal opinion, personal
exactly.
Of actually having your own personality, perhaps. And I hear and I read a lot about how it affects memory as well these days. And not being able to remember things very well as we used to, because we have the solution ready and it's there. And sometimes some people don't even bother to just actually properly read what the AI produces and have critical thinking about it. And so they'll probably memorize the content for the amount of period that it's needed, and then they'll forget about it because it's not something that their mind has produced. So it's in the first place, so it's hard to remember this information a bit later.
That's right.
The later stage. Okay, so that's very interesting, because the sustainability issue was, I guess, the more obvious one, although we all agree that not everybody's aware. It was the more obvious one, but digging deeper here in the conversation, we realize that there could be problems and trade-offs in terms of like memory, personality, communication with other people. So we need to be very careful. Hallucinations, very important. Okay, because if we start making decisions, either business decisions or personal decisions, based on what LLMs suggest, and if we're not in a position and a place to recognize when they hallucinate, we might end up making wrong decisions, and that can be seriously problematic. In many respects. Okay, especially if it's like healthcare decisions or clinical decisions. Or even political decisions, right?
That's right.
Okay, so for the last part of the conversation, can we just talk about the future a little bit? So trying to understand what is emerging right now in AI ethics that excites or concerns you the most. I've heard you talking about a very interesting topic. To use your own words, machine unlearning, and that was, when you've mentioned that now, one of our previous conversations, I wonder, wow, what that is really interesting. Something that makes sense, but it's so hard to conceptualize and grasp. Can you tell me, in a few words, can you unpack this for me? What is machine unlearning? What's your views about that?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I have to caveat that I'm not an expert about this, but I have followed this topic up because it's pretty interesting as well. At a very high level, it's about the concept of making a AI model forget about the things that it has learned without retraining the model from scratch. Okay, so it's not a new concept. It's been around for many years as well. And I when I heard about it, brought up one more recently this year. I was at a PyCon event in Germany, and Catherine Jarmo she's a privacy advocate. She brought it up, and I found it was really interesting and sort of like refreshed my memory on that. The one nice thing about machine learning is that, say for example, you've worked with ChatGPT, and then you type some the public version, for example, and you type some things about yourself. Your data, everything that you type, is actually being trained, right? It's being used to train the models, the next generation ChatGPT. But you want these texts to be forgotten, right? Yeah, you're like, oh, this is my information. Why are you using it? This is my right to be forgotten. To invoke it, this is the concept of machine unlearning. So a lot of the currently trained models, I think, have not just personal information, but also data that that you don't want the model to learn, right? So the concept of machine learning here is very important, and as part of sustainability, instead of retraining the model from scratch, which is going to be super expensive, machine learning, I think, is a very promising way to achieve this.
So it can, in a way, like in theory at least for now, it can tackle both sustainability issues and ethics and privacy to a certain degree. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that would be fantastic. Right. Do you think psychology, design, ecology are subjects that could that should be integrating into AI ethics? Are those disciplines? Would those sort of more traditional disciplines be useful within the AI ecosystems and
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, setting aside ethics for a moment is definitely important. This is the part about I'll use ChatGPT as an example, right? ChatGPT is the average way a person responds. Right? When it learns from across all this information, when you ask it some questions, it gives you the most average way to respond. But at the same time, it picks up a lot of this nuanced way of replying to you. That after some time you feel like, you can pick up that it's just not as natural as you like. So the way that it frames things and replies to you, I think, also affects the psychology of the user when you want to view it. So I think there is a world there where, especially for natural language models, that certain guardrail should be placed to steer the conversations. I'm very sure these large companies have thought a lot about it as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, yep. One last question before we give the audience the opportunity to ask their question. I think there's already a few questions there. So last question about the future again. If we fast forward 5 years, 5 years from now, what will we regret the most not addressing today? So what is the one single thing that if we do not address today, we will definitely regret it?
Absolutely. I think the one single thing, in my opinion, is I'm trying to phrase this in a nice way. It's about thinking about the right way to use AI. So that's very simply put. So let me explain.
Yeah.
We rely so much on AI right now that we start to forget, subconsciously, some fundamentals. Basic ways of just regular communication, even doing code development, for example. We become very reliant on this. So I think it's very important for us to remind ourselves that we are still grounded in, we have the power to contribute, right? With our own knowledge, with our own words, with our own abilities, and use AI in a very assistive way.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we need to address very consciously.
Yeah, so not fully rely on it to give us the answers. We still need to use our brains. We still need to use our critical thinking, our memory, our knowledge, our personal experiences. We still need to be able to use empathy as much as we can. Otherwise, and that's a warning, otherwise, if we forget how to use those things, in 5 years' time, we'll probably become something else and we might not like.
Yeah,
will become, and
might forget how to drive me.
And I will, yeah, exactly. And I will add to that as somebody who has a special interest and experience in the sensory engineering side of things, we need to remember that we're always going to be humans, and we're always going to be relying on our five senses. Let's not forget about our five senses. Let's not forget about what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we touch. Very importantly, this is what keeps us alive. This is what helps us make decisions. What helps us perceive and understand our environment and our world. So, and that cannot be removed from our system. We're built like that.
Yeah.
We need to remember that we have to exercise those senses.
Yeah.
Keep exercising those senses.
One way I would like to sum it up is we need to preserve humanity.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that says it all. And I think that's a great closer for today's conversation. Chong Shen, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights. I think we have some clear pointers here. We talked about sustainability. We talked about ethics and privacy and transparency, like seriously important matters, I suppose, within the AI world now, and the implications that our use of AI will have on those particular subject matters. We spoke about machine learning, which I guess, at least for me, it's a fantastic idea, fantastic concept, and I think it should become a reality, not just a theory. I think it can sort of tackle, as we spoke about it, we will tackle sustainability issues and privacy issues and ethical issues at the same time. You can achieve that. I don't know how far we are from making machine learning a real thing, but it would be fantastic. So we've heard all those exciting things from you, those very interesting things. Thank you so much. I think we have a few minutes left and I think there's a few questions, or one from Mohammed. Let me look. There's a question. Yeah. Kevin, yeah.
I was going to say thank you so much. And it looked like we have a question from Arnav, like you were mentioning. Yeah. So if you want to take that, so I can go ahead and read it here. So obviously for you, Chong Shen. Just wanted to mention as well, Arnav, we'll have on in a few weeks here as well to have another conversation about actually using some of the tools, getting a little bit deeper into some of the AI tools out there. But Arnav asks, what are the distributed systems and how are they different from large language models? How does their effect on sustainability compare? Also, since distributed systems can be smaller, LLMs, do they lack context, especially across different domains?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, thanks, Stergios and Kevin for having me on a call. I think it was a very nice conversation. To your point, Arnav, distributed systems are a very large. That's a very umbrella term. Covers so many things, and LLMs, they use distributed systems to some extent. But of course, the inference is not just on one single GPU. They're spread across multiple GPUs. So the point I was trying to make about distributed systems is that instead of having, for example, from a training perspective, right? You don't want to have all the data in one single database, huge database, and then train everything on it. But you want to sort of push the computation to where the sources of the data is. That's one way of thinking about it, right? The concept there is, instead of centralized learning, you flip it, you go federated learning, pushing the compute to where the data is. This is one aspect of it. There's also the point about doing inference closer to the edge. So the edge is also a very broad term for distributed systems. Let's say I can run a model on my MacBook here for large, I guess LLMs is a relative term now, but I can run a decent 7D model on my local machine, and that can really help me address some of the my use cases. It doesn't have to be so complex. I don't have to use ChatGPT, for instance. So in that respect, I'm just using the compute on my machine to produce the results. I don't have to burn actual GPU somewhere else to get me the answers. And for the last point about smaller LLMs and lacking context, there is a huge work right now all about information retrieval. And information retrieval is a really old topic about ensuring you have enough information to feed into the LLMs before you can produce results. So all the work about retrieval augmented generations many years ago now, I'll say many, it's just maybe 10 years at most, roughly. Plus all the newer toolings using model context protocols, all these newer technologies, and a hybrid of them can already provide the context that you need to feed small LLMs to give the results. There's a lot of work right now that is going into it. So yeah.
Thanks, Chong. I think that did answer exactly what I was looking for. So you're saying that it's the distributed system is in a way where the data is stored, it's working right there, rather than the data going to a larger system or a larger LLM where the decentralized system is there. It's actually on source, where the data is stored, the way the data is created, it's created on source, and that's why the impact that it has on the larger environment is much lesser, because it's just focused on a particular data set at a particular point where it's being created.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Amazing. I don't think we have any other questions, but we do have a few more minutes left if anyone else would like to ask any questions. We'll have Chong Shen here for another 5 minutes. And if not, I guess we can thank everybody for joining us today, and we hope that you find it useful.
Yeah.
And we will be looking forward to welcoming you to future events or future conversations, really.
Absolutely.
Friendly conversations.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to, thanks, Stergios. I just wanted to sort of drop 2 more nice things at the end of the conversation, I think, for those who are interested. Something that we could share as well, maybe on LinkedIn. I wanted to point you to one very nice write-up for machine learning. It's written by the Stanford AI lab. I drop it in chat right now. Probably we can post that link up as well. It's a very nice, appetizing. It's a hefty read, but it's pretty cool. You have a bedtime reading, and then of course for anyone else who is interested in the work we do, just look us up, flower.ai. And then we can help you, ping us on Slack or reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, and we can work with you to train collaboratively on AI.
Chong Shen, perhaps you can drop, if it's easy and quick, you can drop your maybe your LinkedIn, although people should be able to find it from the LinkedIn invite. But just in case, you can feel free to just drop your LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will
here so people can connect with you. Yeah,
can do that. And also, this is my LinkedIn. You can look me up.
Excellent. Kevin, back to you.
Right.
And,
just wanted to end it by giving a big shout out to Stergios. Thank you for moderating today conversation with Chong Shen, and thank you so much for making the time today, Chong Shen. We really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and drop all the links you had mentioned when we post this recording, and the names as well. There's a few names that you had mentioned throughout the talk, so we'll go ahead and get those listed for people in case they're interested in that. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all so much for coming. And like I said, this will be recorded and posted. So if you do want to circle back to any of the topics, feel free. And like I had mentioned earlier, Arnav, who had asked that question, we'll be having a conversation with him in a few weeks. So like I said, he'll be diving into a few tools and some real life use cases that have utilized them. So thanks everybody. We'll wrap it up here, and hope to see you all in the next one. Take care, guys.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.